Fox Sports.
We are Black Horse. We are South.
Well, it's Carpe Diem time, or if you're on a long road trip, Carpe Per Diem time. Whatever it is, we'll try to seize the day and see if the Braves can snap a 7-game losing streak here at Coors Field in Denver. Who better to do that than Braves ace Julio Teheran, who's got the ball tonight in Game 2. Hi again, friends. Chip and Joe, welcome back to the ballpark where the Rockies played long ball last night. Tonight, it's Julio Teheran's turn to pitch in Coors Field, a place, Joe, where he's had some great success, although tonight the weather's a whole lot warmer than it was here 3 years ago.
No doubt about it. Sub-freezing temperatures. There for a minute when we started, I thought you were talking about fishing for carp. Wasn't sure when we saw that river. I know one thing, Julio's going to be fishing for some run support tonight. He gets the worst run support of any starting pitcher in baseball, 2.9. And you're right, when he got that win at Coors Field a couple of years ago, it was like 28 degrees at game time, and he pitched brilliantly. His numbers against the Rockies, 6 starts, 4-1 record, beautiful ERA, 2 starts here, still good stuff, and he's coming off a brilliant start against them in Atlanta, 3-hit shutout baseball over 7 innings.
And it's turned back the clock tonight. 2 old guys upstairs have to think back 5 long days ago when Teheran and John Gray hooked up in Atlanta.
Well, we were all very impressed with John Gray. Throws hard, mid to upper 90s with a hard slider. And one of the pitches that I really liked watching him pitch was his curveball. He's got a good one. We'll see how effective it is tonight in this ballpark versus the way it was at Turner Field. His last 3 starts, very good, 2.33 ERA. He has not been getting much run support, including that start at Atlanta, where he left with shutout baseball.
So if Gray and Teheran are on their games, the challenge will be for both of these offenses to get something done. We talked about this last night. The Braves are not hitting in this park for some reason.
No, but it's we talked last night also about Freddie Freeman, talked about him on Braves Live. It's not just Freddie. Ibar has really been struggling. Beckham has really been struggling since he came back from the disabled list. So it's really time to find some guys who are hot and go with them for a while and see if they can get some runs on the board. We'll see if those 3 guys, though, tonight, who are all in the lineup, can get something done.
Seize the day indeed for the Braves in Game 2 of this 4-game set in Denver. Ender Inciarte did his part with the glove last night. He made a brilliant catch to save a couple of runs. We'll talk about his great season for Atlanta when we come back to Denver right after this.
Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Welcome back to the Mile High City for Game 2 of the Braves versus the Rockies. A great pitching matchup tonight, and Braves center fielder Ender Inciarte did struggle with injuries early in the season, but he is back and he is doing really well for the Braves offensively and defensively, and he is the subject of our Synovus Greatness Made Here. In his last 11 games, he is hitting .293 with a .348 on base percentage. He has scored 8 runs and hit safely in 9 of 11 games. And last night, he made another incredible play. We've seen plenty of these so far this season. We'll take a look at it on Fox Vision. You always hear about Ender Inciarte getting a good jump. We'll take a look at that. 0.6 of a second for him to take his first step. He will travel 79 feet, getting up to 18.5 miles per hour. Now, you're not going to be driving that fast in Atlanta on any weekday. He is quick, and that good jump really helps him make all of the plays that he's been able to make. Now, the past couple of weeks, he has been moved down in the lineup. He started up higher in the beginning of the season, hitting in that top of the order. He has moved down, and it seems to be working. He also told me that since he played for the Diamondbacks, he's familiar with how to play this park. He told me that he does play back a little bit deeper. He told the whole outfield, you do need to play a little bit deeper in this ballpark because the balls are going to fly. But he is familiar with it and feels pretty comfortable playing here, and I think we could tell that last night. But stay with us because we have Game 2 of the Braves versus the Rockies with a matchup from Sunday afternoon. Julio Teheran versus John Gray. Chip and Joe take it back with first pitch and starting lineups after the break.
We're just about set for Game 2 of this series. John Gray makes his way to the mound, as do the purple-clad and homestanding Rockies, who begin play at 44 and 51 on the year. They have Nolan Arenado back in at third base. Trevor Story joins him at shortstop. LeMahieu and Reynolds, who hit a mammoth home run here last night. The rest of the infield. Nick Hundley's back behind the plate. Rayburn, Blackman, and Cargo, the outfielders from left to right. But it all starts with a man on the mound, a shaggy-haired right-hander who can really throw hard. John Gray, who's starting to figure things out for this Colorado franchise.
24 years old, 6'4", 235 out of Chandler, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma University. Got to throw that in there. Rough start for him, first 6 starts, but as you said, Chip, last 10 have been outstanding. A 2.03 average against him and a 3.11 mark for an ERA, and he's pitched well here at home. He's enjoyed pitching here at Coors Field. We'll see how it works out for him tonight.
The lineup he'll face for Atlanta features Jace Peterson leading off. He'll play left field again. Jace did a nice job in left here in Colorado for Brian Snitker. Gordon Beckham bats and plays second. Freddie Freeman, Nick Markakis, and Adonis Garcia are in the middle of the attack. Ender Inciarte, Anthony Recker with the start behind the plate. Ibar 8th, and Julio Teheran is 9th. Look, bottom line is, you know you're going to give up runs in this ballpark. You've got to find a way to score some runs, and that has been the most frustrating thing for the Braves in their last 7 games here in Denver. Amazingly, Atlanta is averaging fewer than 3 runs per game over the last 7 played here at Coors Field. That just doesn't happen. And hopefully tonight's the night that Julio Teheran, the worst supported starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, will get a big handful of them in the early innings and he can cruise.
Look at the starters' ERA over these last 7 games here for Atlanta. While the Rockies have pitched outstanding, including Chad Bettis last night, who only gave up 2 hits to the Braves through his first 6 innings. The Braves were held scoreless for 6 innings. So maybe some early runs tonight and get after John Gray here in the first.
If there's a time to do it, it is the first and second as Gray goes to work. And his first of the night is up and away. 1 ball, no strikes. Jace at 271, as you see. He's knocked in 15 runs. And Gray with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball evens up the count.
We commented in Atlanta about his delivery. It's very much like a stretch as opposed to a windup. That last pitch was the curveball. He just has a little step back, kick and throw.
That's pretty impressive. That much economy of motion, yet he could still deliver the ball at 95 miles an hour.
I remember Glavine talking about that, about how his mechanics are simple, they're repeatable, and kind of a very smart idea just to pitch this way so that it's easy when you're in the stretch to do the same thing.
The 1-2 for Jace is caught out and missed. Fastball, slider, curveball all shown off in that sequence. And Gray has his first punch out tonight.
This is a back foot slider right under the barrel of the bat. Jace saw them all, as you said. Strikeout number 104 for him on the year in 96 innings.
Gray struck out 8 in 7 innings down in Atlanta. He earned a no decision. The Braves won it on a walk-off hit from Chase Darno in the 9th. And a strike to Gordon Beckham. As we mentioned, it's not just Freddie Freeman in a cold spell at the plate. There are a lot of teammates there as well. Gordon's one of them. 7 for 35 since coming off the disabled list. Those 7 hits have come in 9 games played.
He did have a home run in Cincinnati that was a big blow. But it's got to be more than Freddie that gets it going.
.97 high and tight. 3 balls and a strike for Gordon Beckham.
95 to 98 fastball, and that curveball 74 to 77. Really a nice off-speed pitch.
To short. Story's got it. He gives ground, and the flip to first is in time. 2 outs. You might recall in that John Gray start against the Braves, maybe his most impressive sequence came against Freddie Freeman. I think he had back-to-back pitches that went 97 and then 79 for a first inning strikeout.
Well, and not only that, he was in some trouble. He left some guys on base in those first 2 innings, and he made good pitches when he had to, including to Freddie.
He goes the other way, hits it deep toward left, but that's going to be up against the wall, and what a try by Rayburn, who dropped it. Rayburn had it in his glove. He drops the ball. Freeman's on his way to third, and he'll stand there with a 2-out gift.
Freddie took batting practice today, and I watched him hit ball after ball to left center, and to left, trying to stay on the ball a little longer. He did have it, but he had a snow cone, so when he hit the padding, Rayburn couldn't hang on. So it'll go as a 3-base hit, I'm sure.
5 triples for Freddie Freeman. And an encouraging start. That brings up Nick Markakis, and now Walt Weiss is asking for clarification on whether or not Rayburn had the catch or not.
Did he have it long enough? You could see the snow cone in the top of his glove. Carried it to the wall, and he never was really reaching in for it to put it in his bare hand. It got knocked loose when he hit the wall. He must show control.
So Nick Markakis, who's put the ball in play with a great deal of consistency, has a chance for a 2-out hit and a Braves lead.
Yeah, and a team RBI leader. Great opportunity for him to put the Braves on top. Even if Rayburn had held on, it was still a good sign that Freddie drove the ball the other way.
So a few extra pitches here for John Gray, who's ahead, no balls at a strike. And now 0-2. Nick had that impressive run of 32 plate appearances without a swing and a miss that ended yesterday when he struck out. Maybe he can start another such streak here. That's high at 96. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
A lot of Nick's good work lately has involved him going to left center and out over the shortstop's head. Gray was the 3rd pick in the draft just a couple of years ago. It's kind of weird right now. It's clouds overhead, and it's almost like the lights haven't taken full effect. It's kind of dark down on the field.
Well, we heard all kinds of thunder rumbling around 4 o'clock this afternoon, but no rain in downtown Denver, thankfully. And that went right off the thumbs. Tough play, bare hand try. Arenado can't make it, and the Braves take the lead. Markakis put it in play, and Freddie Freeman scampers home, and the Braves have jumped in front with 2 outs in the first.
There's that early run, and it came in the squirreliest of fashions. A triple that goes off the left fielder's glove and then just sawed off here, but Nick's ground ball stays fair, and the only chance Arenado had to throw him out was to come up with that bare hand grab.
So it's 1-0, and Adonis Garcia lines it out of play. If there's been a dent in the armor of the Rockies right-hander, it's been he's given up a lot of early runs. 11 in the first inning, now 12, and 11 runs in the second this year. So get him early or you might not. A dropped fly ball and an infield hit. And now Adonis behind 0-2.
There are the numbers. Adonis had 2 of the hits against him in that start in Atlanta. He only gave up 5 in 7 innings.
Something's bothering Garcia in the batter's box. Two and two.
There's quite a few extra pitches, isn't it, after the ball was dropped?
And number 22 of the inning is on the way. And now there have been 11 pitches after Rayburn couldn't hang on and left.
You know, when Freddie hit that ball, I thought it was going to be not routine, but a fairly easy play for Rayburn because it was going to stay in the ballpark. But I see the flags, they're blowing out that way a little bit. He might have gotten fooled and drifted on it a little bit. Could have gotten surprised by it.
Gray's a little frustrated. Got the first two quickly. Peterson a strikeout. Beckham a ground out. He's already behind 1-0. Payoff pitch. Markakis is running, and it's driven down the right field line. Braves doing an excellent job of working counts.
Yeah, that was 98. He fought it off.
A swing and a miss, and that retires the stride. Aside, a dropped fly ball in left, a Markakis infield hit, and Julio has a 1-0 lead. Top of the first inning, a Nick Markakis infield hit gives Julio Teheran an early lead. He's got a tough lineup to face, a very powerful lineup featuring Charlie Blackmon and a 13-game hitting streak at the top. Carlos Gonzalez and Mark Reynolds both hit long home runs here last night, and the Rockies try to get back to 500 at home at 22-24, are facing a man that has dominated them in his last couple of starts.
That's a Georgia lottery hitting the jackpot tonight against this lineup. A 129 average, 7 for 54 against him, and no walks, 11 strikeouts, and two of the big guns batting third and fourth are hitless against him, 0 for 16. Ford keys tonight for Julio Teheran. Number one, go after him. He's already in their head. They already know they have a hard time trying to hit him. So be aggressive, set the tone. He's got a 1-run lead to work with, and avoid the big inning, which has been killing the Braves lately.
So Blackmon leads off and takes a strike. Julio was brilliant in Atlanta. Allowed the Rockies 1 hit through 5 innings. Set down the first 7 men in order. Fly ball toward right center field. That'll get down. Blackmon with a 14-game streak leads off with a single.
Well, last night he was lucky to get an extra at bat in the 8th inning to extend his hitting streak. He wasn't taking any chances on that happening again tonight. Down the middle, didn't miss it.
So he adds to what's already a career-high hitting streak, and he's aboard in front of DJ LeMahieu, the Colorado second baseman. LeMahieu has 5 hits in 17 at bats against Atlanta pitching this year. And was 2 for 4 last night.
Julio only gave up 3 hits in that start against the Rockies at Turner Field. 2 of the players that got hits aren't even playing tonight. And oddly enough, one guy that did get a hit that's playing was Blackmon.
So no hits for Colorado the rest of the way, I guess.
Nope.
So
Nope. Take care of Blackmon. You got it made.
1 ball, 1 strike.
He had a big lead over there.
Blackmon stolen 10 bases in 14 tries. Big hole for LeMahieu on the right side with Freeman holding the runner. Not going, and the pitch inside.
And up. He's got to get the ball down.
Fouled away now. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That was a slider, and it was up. You can see there on Fox Tracks, it was well up in the middle of the zone. So he's working on trying to get the ball down here in the early going.
That's into the 2nd level. And LeMahieu putting up a fight here. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That was a good pitch too, right in on his hands. But as we've been talking about LeMahieu, he likes to inside out the ball and able to somehow spoil that pitch.
LeMahieu, tough man to strike out. He swings and misses only 12% of the time.
Nick Markakis at 13%, just behind that.
51 strikeouts and 324 at bats. For a man that's in the hunt for the National League batting title. Full count pitch. Blackmon leads and goes. It's a swing and a miss. Throw by Recker to second is dropped on a short hop. So thank you, Mr. LeMahieu. A swing and a miss. Blackman steals second, but there's one out.
They had a crack at him at second base, and Recker's thrown out one base stealer since he was called up. Had a shot at that one, but the short hop was the difference, as Ibar had to catch it first and then worry about the tag. Ooh, slid right into his foot too.
So our first look at Nolan Arenado in the series. Got a mental break last night. And this is where he has feasted all year. Nolan Arenado has more RBIs since the start of last year than any major league hitter. And he has 29 more RBIs than any other National League player in that stretch.
Well, he'd gone 5 games without an RBI, so he was beginning to take bites out of his bat, so they thought it'd probably be a good idea to give him a rest.
That was like a pretty good pitch.
It was. Kind of waded into that. Cost Julio the call.
And this guy doesn't need any help. With 71 RBIs and 23 homers. Arenado's been caught by Anthony Rizzo of the Cubs for the top spot in RBIs in the league. He's tied for third in homers with 23. That pitch was down, but off the plate.
If Walt Weiss had tried to keep Arenado on the bench tonight, they would have found Walt Weiss bound and gagged in his office, and the lineup would have had handwriting on it that looked noticeably like Nolan Arenado's.
Here's the 2-1 pitch. Oh, Blackman wandered too far, and Julio just picked him off.
Beautiful. Great timing. Somehow out of the corner of his eye, he saw Gordon Beckham breaking. Yet another pickoff for Julio, this time at second.
I believe that gives Julio 6 pickoffs for the year. We'll check that. 2 balls and a strike. Bases empty for Arenado, who drives one deep toward right. Inciarte on the run. Markakis won't get there. It's high off that new fence. Arenado around second, on his way to third. Relay throw from Beckham is a one-hopper and late. And boy, the pickoff looks big, doesn't it? A triple for Arenado with 2 outs.
That was a home run last year. But as we told you last night, the thing about this plexiglass extension in right field is that the ball comes off at funny angles. Yes, it stayed in the park. And even though Inciarte was in a good spot to play it off the wall, it came off a little sideways. So more triples off that wall, but fewer homers getting that direction.
So both teams have a 2-out triple in the first inning. And now Cargo's coming up. The Colorado right fielder reached the 20 home run mark for the 6th season with a deep fly ball last night. That's hit toward short. Ibar throws on the run and in time. Ibar had to hurry his throw, and he got Gonzalez by a quarter of a step. And that should end the inning unless it's overturned on review, and the Rockies might take a look.
Got him. Good scoop by Freddie.
The Rockies will not challenge the call. The scoop just ahead of the left foot. of Carlos Gonzalez. No runs, 2 hits, a man left. Atlanta leads 1-0. Atlanta leads 1-0 on a Nick Markakis infield hit. Ender Inciarte, Anthony Recker, and Eric Ibar coming up against John Gray. And up and away, 1 ball, no strikes. That caught a corner. Ender had 2 hits last evening and made a great running catch in center field to save a couple of runs. And he's got his average up over 240 now, with hits in 9 of his last 10 games. That's poked down the left field line, foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Mentioned that Gray was the 3rd pick in the draft 3 years ago now. Over the last 4 years, they've had top 10 picks every year.
There's that nasty slider to the left-handed hitters. 3rd strikeout for Gray, 1 away in the 2nd.
I mentioned that it was plexiglass out there on that fence that's extended above the right field wall now, and that is incorrect. You can plainly see that it is chain link fence. There's some padding on the uprights that support it. So that normally would come off a little softer.
Recker takes a strike. We finally figured out why A.J. Pierzynski was kicked out of the game last night on that obstruction play that scored another Colorado run last night. A.J. got mad, kicked the ball toward the Colorado dugout. He said something he's done 100 times or so in his major league career. He never said anything to Mike Winters, but Winters took exception to that and threw him out.
He said, I just dropped the ball, and he said, call it lazy or whatever, but I didn't bend over to pick it up. I just kicked it over to their dugout.
That is a fair ball down the 3rd baseline for Recker. So Anthony's going to have an extra base hit. And Atlanta has 3 hits already against John Gray, who had a 5-hit performance back in Atlanta that covered 7 innings.
And that makes Anthony Recker 4 for 11 since joining the club, and he got a hanger and didn't miss it. Kept it fair. Right over the bag.
I was talking with Walt Weiss about this ballpark. You've mentioned the fence and right, and their hope to keep the ball in the ballpark and give the defense something and their pitching staff something. Walt said something that I hadn't thought of. I've mentioned several times, grow the infield grass very thick and lush, and he said they've tried that, but they weren't able to turn as many double plays because the grass was so thick. So defensively it hurt them more than it helped them, he thought. But he had another idea that I thought would be interesting maybe to talk about with you, former outfielder. He said, why not grow the outfield grass exceptionally thick so that balls that get hit don't get to the wall and don't get to the gaps, and give the outfielders a chance to cut it off and maybe save a base or two.
That's not a bad idea. He also told me that even going back to the days where he played here, he thought the outfield fences ought to be very high, similar to what they are in right field and extending across in front of the bullpens. He thought that would help if they did that all the way around.
Well, it took away a homer from Arenado so far tonight, and that's helped preserve the lead. Gray behind, 2 balls, no strikes. And he's gone 3-0 with Julio waiting on deck. And 4 straight out of the zone. Gray walks Ibar, 2 on, 1 out for Tehran.
So here are the second inning issues.
But you got to cash him in. That was the difference in Atlanta. Braves had a lot of chances early and couldn't score a run until their last swing of the day.
They left 1 man on base, had 2 singles to start the game in the first inning, then a double play took care of that. Second inning, they got a hit and a walk, had a stolen base, and didn't score.
Colorado looks for a Julio Tehran bunt. And Gray missed with his 5th in a row.
And Julio may be the best bunter on the team. He's got 7 sacrifices already. He will creep up into the front of the box, that front foot right on the front line. Puts his bat right at the top of the strike zone, and now Hundley is going to remind Gray that this guy's trying to give us an out. Right at the top of the zone, bat level.
There's the bunt. Gray will have 1 play. It's to first, and Julio helps himself with a successful sacrifice.
Already on this road trip, I've talked several times about pitchers who don't get the bat out front. They've got the bat angled almost back toward the first base dugout. Boy, and Julio does it with such perfection fundamentally by getting it out in front of him. His arms aren't fully extended. You don't want that. You want your elbows bent, but you want the bat out in front of home plate. Good job.
So Jace Peterson with 2 on and 2 out. He is the Braves hitter. He struck out to start the game. Braves were 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position last night, and are hitting .211 in these circumstances since July 15th. Off his thumbs, opposite way foul, and a 1-1 count. Back to the mound, and Gray is there, and that will retire the side. The Braves threaten but can't add to a 1-0 lead. Trevor Story leads off for Colorado next.
Of the second inning, and you saw it there, that fence. I took a walk with Dominique DeRico, the manager of baseball operations here, and he told me that they haven't made any changes to this ballpark in 20 years, and that was the first one. They wanted to make it more of a fair place to play at and to give pitchers an opportunity to get out of situations. The original fence was 8 feet tall. It's 8 feet higher now, which brings it to 16 feet. And you saw that play there. There's over 10 so far that fence has influenced. And Trevor Story, 5 balls would have been home runs so far this season, 3 in that first week, insulating that wall, and they weren't home runs. That wall stopped it, so they don't know how it's going to play out. But that was one of the first changes that they have made to this ballpark.
Well, it's a step in the right direction, Kelsey. Thank you. It's already held up 13, we're told. 13 homers have been kept in the ballpark.
And was it 5 for Story that
yes.
would have been home runs? So he might have 28 home runs, not the 23 that he sports right now. He starts the second, and that's fouled away. Julio Teheran with a big pickoff in the first inning. It wasn't his 6th this year. It was his 3rd pickoff this year. The Braves team has 13 pitchers pickoffs, and that saved the first Colorado run, because Blackman would have scored easily on Arenado's triple. No balls, 2 strikes for Story. A terrific young hitter who's learning on the fly here in the big leagues. A lot of strikeouts, 121 of them, far and away their team leader in that category, in 338 at bats. Ooh, just missed.
Tight zone last night. A little tight here tonight, but so far Julio's had a little trouble hitting his spot, so kind of hard to argue.
Swing and a miss. Good pitch by Julio. His 2nd strikeout. And Story adds to his strikeout total. There's out number 1.
Strikeout number 114 on the year for Julio in 127 innings.
Ryan Rayburn is the left fielder tonight. We saw him nearly haul in Freddie Freeman's drive in the first inning. Rayburn getting a lot of playing time because Gerardo Parra is still hurting, but he's apparently making progress in his comeback from a high ankle sprain. Braves, though, probably won't see him in this series. To third, big hop for Adonis, easy toss to first, 2 out. And here's Mark Reynolds. Want to talk about tape measure home runs? Well, Mr. Reynolds is Exhibit A.
Jolted this one from Cervinka out front. Second longest by measurement in the big leagues this year. 484 feet. Way up into the bleachers in left center.
And that is our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. Nomar Mazara of Texas has the longest home run this year. This one won't be a homer. It's popped up into shallow right. And Nick Markakis is there, and Julio has a much needed 1-2-3 second inning. 1-0 Braves after 2. Time for these Braves bats to heat up here in Denver.
But right now there's a summertime freeze going on for 3 veterans, including tonight. Gordon Beckham's last 10 games, just 7 for 36 since he came back from the disabled list. Freddie Freeman added to his hit list tonight with that triple, 3 for 28. 3 for 28 for Freddie Freeman. Good grief. Eric Ibar's last 10 games, 4 for 34. He's actually extended beyond that, 5 for his last 40. So these guys have all got to start chipping in a little more. And in Gordon's defense, coming off the DL, you understand how he could be in a little bit of a slow start from that, because he was really swinging the bat great before he got hurt again.
2 separate stints on the DL for Beckham with those hamstring problems. And 0 for 1 tonight as he faces Gray here in the 3rd inning. First pitch swing, fly ball well hit right. Cargo back to the warning track. And there's the first out. Gray needs an easy inning. He's piled up 44 pitches through 2 1/3 worth of work tonight. Braves got 1 against him in the first 2 innings. After the first 2, that's when Gray usually gets very, very tough.
Home road splits for Gray. That's a bit of a surprise, isn't it? For a Colorado pitcher to be undefeated at home, but 2 and 4 on the road. ERA's a little higher here. That's to be expected, but he's had good success in his home yard.
Well, maybe at long last the Rockies organization has figured out how to put together a successful pitching staff here. Velocity, power guys, fastball, changeup, maybe slider guys. Gray certainly fits that mold. As that one's too far inside for Freddie Freeman. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
appeared to be a fastball, but he's trying real hard to get that slider to bite down and in on Freddie too.
Breaking ball got Freeman to swing and miss. That's number 4 for Gray tonight. 2 outs.
He struck out Freddie 3 times in Atlanta. Down and in.
So 14 strikeouts in his last 22 at bats for Freddie Freeman. Nick Markakis is the hitter. Gray had to throw 14 extra pitches after Rayburn couldn't hang on to the Freeman drive in the first inning. Long at bat by Adonis Garcia, fouling off several pitches before he struck out. Line to LeMahieu, dives to his right. Nick Markakis is squaring up just about everything. He was robbed of a 3rd inning hit. 3 up, 3 down for Gray. It's still 1-0 Braves. Tweet of the week. The question is, what do you think about Major League Baseball possibly limiting the use of relief pitchers during a game? Tweet us at Fox Sports South using the hashtag relief restrictions, and your answer could be read during Braves Live after the game. Pace of game, time of game has long been a concern for the commissioner's office. Rob Manfred has discussed that in several interviews of late about the possibility of at least looking at changing the rules as to how relief pitchers can be used.
I don't think that will ever happen. And the reason I don't is because rule changes like that involve the Players Association. And the Players Association, if they think they're going to be limited on how some guys will be used, say,
Yeah, they want their players playing.
Yes, they do.
However, I think we would all agree, especially it's really noticeable in a place like Denver where you have so many pitching changes. The game really does grind to a halt in the 7th inning going forward most of the time. And the inherent nature of making a pitching change stops the game. Got to go get the man from the mound. He walks off. Relief pitcher comes in. He takes his warm-up tosses, and on we go. And if those are multiplied, then obviously those delays are multiplied too. Nick Hundley is the Colorado hitter with a 1-2 count, and that just missed. Line to Freddie. He didn't have to move, but he speared a hot smash. Hundley's retired, 1 out.
Turnabout's fair play. Markakis gets robbed, so does Hundley. Big crowd here last night, big crowd tonight. This is a great stadium to watch a baseball game in if you've never been here. If you want to take a road trip and take in several different major league stadiums, make sure you include this one, because there's going to be action.
There's going to be lots of action. And there was action after the game last night. Fans were milling about, having a great time after the game in the Lodo area. A lot of restaurants, bars, saloons, places to sit around and talk about the game. And there are a lot of Braves fans here in Denver, as you see.
We met a couple of very interesting Braves fans last night walking back to the hotel. A couple who originally were from Montana and became Braves fans watching on the Superstation. They now live, is it here or
they live in Colorado?
Colorado, but not in Denver.
No,
but still Braves fans, and are coming to Turner Field in September to make sure they get to see a game there before the Braves move.
That was hammered into the dugout. And it whistled right by Charlie Blackmon, too.
Wow, right into the bat rack.
Julio's got a good fastball tonight, but that one missed. It's an even count to the Colorado pitcher. John Gray, 4 for 28 with a lot of strikeouts. 19 to be exact. He puts it in play this time, though, and Ibar throws him out. 2 down.
That was another one of those sliders, and it was a good call by Anthony Recker. That you don't want to make a perfect pitch on the pitcher. It's not Gonzalez up there that you've got to hit a real speck on the corner. Just throw it for a strike, and he was swinging. Easy ground ball out. Get Blackmon, win the game.
Right.
He's the guy.
And if he does get on, you just pick him off.
Yeah. Well, I hadn't thought of that. That's good strategy.
14-game hitting streak for the former Georgia Tech star Charlie Blackmon. This is such an interesting time for baseball fans. It's probably a nerve-wracking time for baseball players, because the closer we get to the deadline, the rumor mills start to really crank up for potential trades. As Blackmon lines one towards center, his name has come up quite a bit. And Julio Teheran takes care of the Colorado center fielder. We're through 3 in Denver. The Braves lead 1-0. Major League starter, but so far so good for Julio Teheran. And from the inside looking out, Julio's off to another very good start.
That's a great statue, isn't it? Just want to know what's going on inside the convention center. That is a good one.
This really is a fun town to visit. Unless, of course, you're pitching. Like I said, there's a lot to do in Denver. It's an absolutely beautiful place. Braves are trying to snap a 7-game losing streak here. We'll see if they can add to their lead. A squibber hit to second. Look at the funny spin on that ball. And LeMahieu stayed with it and made the play. 1 out.
Yeah, I don't think Adonis even knew where the ball went for a moment. Slow curve.
Here's Ender Inciarte.
Both guys are getting some first pitch outs, though. Big swing, but right off the end of the bat for Garcia.
Downstairs. Tonight's game is starting quite like last night. We had no score through 5 innings. A little early trouble for both starters, but then they settled in, got their bearings about them. Braves set down 6 straight. Julio set down 7 straight. Wind really starting to pick up and blow toward right now. And that one is poked over short and into shallow left center field. Blackman over quickly. Ender will slam on the brakes and head back to first.
He keeps getting his hits. He's 5 for his last 16. He might test Hundley, who has not had a lot of luck throwing out base stealers, just 4 out of 30. They're going to put a shift on even for Anthony, and he just got here. They shift more than any other team in baseball.
They had 999 shifts going into the start of last night's game.
Yeah, they threw the ball out on their 1,000.
The pitch to Recker won't be made. Gray faked to play at first.
A little lightning flashing off beyond center field too. So that rock pile's a good place to be.
Yeah. They had a rainstorm here earlier this year, just a couple of weeks ago, I think. And when they have the rainstorms, I mean, we're talking frog stranglers, you name it. It rained so hard in the Rockies dugout that they had flooding down the tunnel. The water just kept pouring in. And it is raining off in the distance beyond the center field seats. That's into the seats. And off the facade of the LED scoreboard, it's 0-2.
Good try by Anthony, though. I mean, I know he got jammed, but he was fighting it off and trying to hit the ball to right field. There's nobody on the right side of the diamond except Reynolds holding the runner on.
Tried it again.
Now they're going to move out of their shift.
And they just picked off Ender. So those are even. 2 outs.
He was going. He was trying to get that walking lead, and that time he wasn't invisible.
So 2 outs, 2 strikes on Recker, who doubled his first time up. And Gray about to make his 61st pitch. And it ends the inning. 5 strikeouts for the Rockies right-hander. 2, 3, and 4 coming up for Colorado as we head to the 4th. Moments that matter. October 3rd, 1995, Game 1 of the Division Series. Braves and Rockies. Rookie third baseman Chipper Jones hits 2 homers in his first career postseason game, and the Braves beat the Rockies by a final score of 5-4.
That was the first year of divisional playoffs, and that was a little touch and go with that Lake Street Bomber group. And there's still that, we have video somewhere in the archives of that play where Chipper moved 1 step to his right and Galarraga ripped one down the line. If Chipper hadn't moved, that ball's down the line for extra bases and might have turned the series around.
So hope old Chipper's watching the game tonight. And you know he's enjoying the way Julio Teheran is pitching. He's in the 4th inning, having retired 7 straight Rockies. Tough frame with LeMahieu leading off. And he starts him with a breaking ball for a strike. And a light rain has begun to fall here at the ballpark. Driven to right, and right at Markakis. 1 down.
Here's that play. Off Greg McMichael.
Great play by Chipper Jones, gets the out at second base.
Pete Van Wieren with the call. He had just moved 1 step to his right before that pitch was made. Looked like a changeup from Greg McMichael, which was his good pitch, his out pitch. If he hadn't scooted over, who knows what might have happened.
I'll bet you Chipper's been practicing that play for the Kansas Stars. As this one's hit high in the air by Arenado. And Jace Peterson is at the edge of the track. 2 outs.
Now that was kind of funny. That ball is hit to the warning track, and Jace went straight across to get it. He didn't have to go back at all. He was already playing him so deep. I just hope Chipper's doing a little running, you know, maybe get some of those old chipper muscles loose.
Now, do they have designated runners in that series?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't know what the ballpark's like now, what renovations they've done, but there was a short porch in right field.
I can't wait to hear the stories of the Kansas Stars and Adam LaRoche's team.
Well, if they think they're going to show up and it's going to be like an old timers game, they're sadly mistaken. There are people there, college pitchers and the like, who are not going to treat them lightly.
Well, and what a thrill for those guys
to
face Chipper Jones or Roger Clemens or Tim Hudson. One pitch coming for Cargo, and that straightened him up inside.
One interesting thought, though, is I don't know if they're allowed. I don't know about aluminum bats. Think about those guys if they were allowed to use aluminum bats in that tournament.
Those guys might want to find some that have some cork or Super Balls in them. Stories on deck. Gonzalez is 0 for 1.
And look how far he is off the plate.
And Julio walked him with 2 outs. You can understand the care with which the Braves pitch Carlos Gonzalez. Our Home Depot tools from the dugout shows you he has been a Braves killer.
8 homers, 28 RBIs in 32 games. His last 32. That's serious damage.
So let's see if Julio can make some pitches to Story here. He struck him out on a 3-2 count in the 2nd inning. And the rain starts to come down a little harder. Becker a nice stop, but now it's 3-0.
Remember, one of the keys was take it to them. Fultonevich said after the game last night, as the game went on, he thought he got a little tentative and trying to be too fine with his command. Walked a career high 5 guys.
And I asked Mike about that point we mentioned with Tom Glavine about how much more difficult it is and how much more tired you get. Mike said that was exactly true. He said he really had to work hard to try to get his breaking stuff over because it didn't do anything in this thin air. I asked him, how do you feel today? He said, today's a normal day, but during the game I got tired trying to really work his breaking stuff. Story took a strike. It's 3-1. Wind has shifted now. It's not blowing toward right. It's blowing straight out toward the big scoreboard and left. And Julio's rallied to fill up the count. He got him with a slider last time up.
Yeah, and he's gotten back into this count with fastballs. One that he was taking 3-0 and that one that he fought off. So does he stay with that or does he go back to the slider hoping for a chase? I'm guessing slider. Fastball.
Runner goes, and it missed high. Back-to-back walks with 2 outs.
You know, I've heard Don Sutton say many times, and I've heard Smoltz and Glavine talk a lot about this too, that sometimes when you're pitching against a lineup like this, the first thing you do is look to see where there are places to go to get outs. And this is not any way to insult Rayburn, but with 2 out, nobody on, he walked. Gonzalez trying to be careful. He also walked Story. So in his mind, maybe he was thinking, okay, if I can just get past those 2 guys, I might be able to go get Rayburn.
Rayburn bounced out his first and only time up in the second. But the scary thing about that strategy in this park is every single hitter that comes up is in scoring position.
Yeah, well, you're right. Especially with the wind blowing the way it is right now, and the way we saw Rayburn hit one to the opposite field for a grand slam at Turner Field.
Didn't get the slider. It wasn't a strike.
But the advantage is that he's never faced Julio before. That ground out was the first time he had batted against him. And he just got a good look at the Tehran slider.
Two and two. He struck him out with a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and the pitch arounds to Gonzalez and Story work out just fine for Julio Tehran. Gray has lived up to early billing through 4 innings. It's a 1-0 Atlanta lead. The Braves got a run off Gray in the first, and he is one of the best rookie pitchers in the major leagues.
You know, take Maeda out of the sequence there, and he's either second or first in several of those categories. Maeda's no rookie, despite what Major League Baseball allows the Japanese pitchers to be classified when they come over here. So he's up in the first 1 or 2 in all those rankings.
Dodgers might be looking for pitching. There's been whispers that Clayton Kershaw might need back surgery. And that's a shame.
Yeah.
As Ibar leads off the 5th for Atlanta, he walked his first time up, was sacrificed to second on a Tehran bunt, and was left stranded on a Jace Peterson groundout. The Dodgers are in St. Louis tonight, and they're tied with the Cardinals 2-2 in the 6th. Phillies shut out the Pirates 4-0 in Pittsburgh today. San Diego's leading the Nationals 5-3 in the 9th. Some whispers that Melvin Upton might be close to being traded by the Padres. Ibar's down on strikes. Gray has 6 of those and 2 in a row, 1 away.
This time of year, we've been talking ad nauseum about the trading deadline and who might be available, who might not be. And with respect to the Atlanta Braves, John Coppola's made it clear that he's not going to trade Julio Tehran. He's not going to trade Freddie Freeman. He hasn't said that about anybody else, but he says that he wouldn't trade those 2 guys. So I understand that while we showed some guys that are cold and not swinging the bat well right now, but they continue to play, that this is a time where you're still trying to showcase some guys if there are teams interested. And like there were in Cincinnati, there are a ton of scouts here for this series. Both teams have players that, you know, are attractive to other teams. So I know why, I get it. I know why they're playing. But it'll be interesting to see if they're playing as much when the trade deadline passes.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Gray here in the 5th. He has 7 in the game so far. Well, we've talked also about the composition of this Braves roster, all the left-handed pitchers that Atlanta has available in the bullpen. I would assume that if teams are interested in anything, that would be a very interesting place to start. Ian Kroll, Eric O'Flaherty, Dario Alvarez, and Hunter Cervenka. And then right-handers Chris Withrow, Jim Johnson, Joel De La Cruz, and Mauricio Cabrera. And Gray is starting to feel his oats.
Just like he did in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Braves were very fortunate to get that run in the first inning, so at least they've got that on the board. Finding it hard to add on.
They had him second and third with 2 outs in the 2nd. Haven't gotten a runner to second base since. One ball, 2 strikes for Jace Peterson. And Gray just missed. That's hit to the right side. Nice play. Reynolds race to the bag, and he'll win it. A step ahead of Jace Peterson. 1, 2, 3, and out go the Braves in the 5th. Reynolds leads off for the Rockies, down a run. Orioles have struggled out of the gate. They've lost their first 5 games after the break.
And they got that off Andrew Miller, Andre said. And he's one of the guys that they're trying to figure out in New York if they're going to trade their 2 stud lefty relievers.
Aroldis Chapman the other. As Mark Reynolds leads off for the Rockies. He popped out to right in his lone at bat. Julio's been terrific again in Denver tonight. The Rockies have 2 hits. He's walked 2, struck out 3. This is a different Mark Reynolds than we've seen in years past. He will strike out, but not nearly at as high a ratio now as he has in years past. He's hitting for a higher average. He's not hitting as many home runs. And he's done a nice job for them at first base as well.
Almost looked like he hurt himself on that swing.
Little tapper. Julio couldn't get it. Garcia did, and not in time.
Adonis made that a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. If Julio can get his glove on this, Reynolds is out because he doesn't run well. But Adonis, a bare hand grab and throw. Braves are taking a look at it in the clubhouse. Well, it looked like he beat it.
Now Eric Ibar is talking with Julio Teheran. He was signaling to the Braves dugout for someone to come out. I wonder if Julio tweaked something when he tried to make a defensive play on that swinging bunt. And Jeff Porter, the Braves athletic trainer, is atop the mound talking with Julio.
Really lunged right here for it. Uh-oh.
He can't continue. Wow. So Julio Teheran tried to field the little dribbler to the left side of the mound off the bat of Mark Reynolds. And he threw one warm-up pitch and shook his head no and cannot continue. That is big news. Julio Teheran leaves the game in the 5th inning. The Braves have to go to the bullpen with a 1-0 lead. Tehran injured himself trying to make a fielding play a moment ago.
Reaching right there, try to knock that slow roller down that Mark Reynolds hit. And we didn't notice when we were watching this replay, it didn't show up that Julio was grabbing at his leg or his side or anything to give us any indication that something was wrong. And it was, as you said, Chip, it wasn't until Garcia kind of motioned to the dugout that we even knew that he needed some attention.
And what really worries me, Joe, is that Julio threw one practice pitch, and it was maybe 50% effort, and immediately started shaking his head toward Jeff Porter, the Braves athletic trainer, and walked off the mound. So Bryant Snitker, I'm sure, is on his way up to see exactly what's ailing Julio Tehran.
Keep in mind, De La Cruz made a couple of starts for the Braves before he went to the bullpen. He did pitch last night, but he only faced one batter and struck him out. So he should be good to go for an inning or two tonight. Here was Ibar walking up to Julio. Recker's talking to him. It was Ibar and not Garcia motioning. But still, he's not really favoring anything. Well, we'll hope to get an update from the Braves training room as it becomes available, but that's a horrible thing, the way he's been pitching, to lose him mid-game.
De La Cruz will have as much time as he needs to get ready. And he will have Nick Hundley and John Gray next up on the Rockies lineup card. He says he's ready to go. And so he'll work out of the stretch immediately with Reynolds at first base in a 1-0 Atlanta game.
The way Julio's pitched against the Rockies, they've got to look at this as a big break for them.
Hundley hit a screaming liner to first base to start the Colorado third inning. Freddie Freeman caught that. So Hundley is 0 for 1. Got him. Reynolds picked off. Blackman and Reynolds have both been erased at first base. Walt Weiss is going to take a cursory look. For the moment, he's the first out.
Well, he caught Reynolds taking that big sidestep, so it took him a second to regroup, dive back. I think they got him, and I don't think there's anything there that's worth overruling.
But Colorado is going to challenge the call at first.
Tagged him on the elbow. Mark Wegner is the umpire at first base. Mike Winters, the crew chief. Good move by De La Cruz. So after a pitcher's injury and warm-ups for De La Cruz, whatever he needs, see how long this takes.
Meanwhile, off in the distance beyond the rock pile, the lightning continues to flash across the sky. It's clearing up off to our left, and a beautiful sunset. Golden tinge to it.
You know, we were talking to a scout yesterday who had another idea for replay, and that is for the crew chief to wear an earpiece. Somebody else to wear it when he's umpiring behind the plate, obviously, but that he would be connected with New York, where an independent group of people would see a play and immediately let him know, reverse the call or let it stand. Then you don't need the coaches and replay systems to wait and figure out, check it out, are you going to appeal or not? Well, that made some sense.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, you could do it from the site. You wouldn't even need to have New York involved. You could just have another official scorer, for example, in the booth.
Let's say the crew chief is Mike Winters, and he's at third base tonight. He could just walk in, stand on third base, hold his hand up for a second, and then point at the pitcher to go ahead if they're not going to overturn it.
Yeah, and then so the fans know what's going on as the call is confirmed at first. And then so the fans know what's going on. You just put a notice on the board just like they have now where they say the play is under review. The call stands. Runner picked off at first, or call overturned. He beat the play at first.
Yeah, it made a lot of sense where it just takes all of the other stuff out of the delay of waiting to see if you're going to appeal and speed things up. 2:03 on that review.
And the Rockies, an unsuccessful challenge. So De La Cruz with one out. Gives up a shot to Hundley. That's headed for the right center field gap, and that'll get to the wall. And another pickoff looming large. Immediately after the pickoff play, the Rockies record an extra base hit. So Hundley's at second with one out, and John Gray the pitcher.
Yeah, if you weren't with us at the beginning of the game, Blackman singled, stole second, got picked off at second base, and right after that Arenado hit a triple. So no run across, and the same thing applies here. Reynolds getting picked off.
1 on, 1 out for Gray, who bounced out to short his first time up. And a new set of signs with a runner at second base, perhaps. One and 0 to the Colorado pitcher. Braves scored their run in the first inning. Ryan Rayburn couldn't haul in a Freddie Freeman drive to the left field wall. He tripled. Markakis broke his bat, tallied an infield hit, and that's the only offense. Julio Teheran has left this fifth inning with an injury. Joel De La Cruz is on in relief.
And dating back to that Colorado series at Turner Field, this is his fourth outing. Had an inning and a third against Colorado at Turner Field. One hit, no runs, walks, or strikeouts. Hasn't given up a run since before the All-Star break at Chicago against the White Sox.
Gray didn't get it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. High hopper hit towards second. Runner to third, 2 outs. Gray's put it in play twice. Now Charlie Blackmon is the hitter. One thing Gray has had a lot of this year is run support. That's not been the case in his last 3 starts. He's gotten 3 runs of support total. But still the 3rd highest run support in the National League. Steven Strasburg and Madison Bumgarner are 1 and 2 on that list. His tying run is 90 feet away for Blackmon, who's got a 14-game hitting streak. One ball, no strikes.
Talk a lot about pitchers throwing across their body, where in the case of a right-hander he would step more toward the 3rd baseline and then across his body to the plate. De La Cruz is the opposite of that. He steps to the 1st baseline, really opens up in his delivery. Big strong guy.
Popped up. Ibar is out. Peterson is there, and he puts it away to retire the side. De La Cruz pitches out of trouble in the 5th inning and preserves a 1-0 Atlanta lead.
Delta Airlines, your local Ford dealer, the Home Depot, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Well, it's an official game here in Denver. It's 1-0 Atlanta. The rain really coming down now, as threatening skies all around Coors Field. And they've opened up as Atlanta gets to start the 6th inning at the plate. Julio Teheran out with an undisclosed injury at the moment.
How about that sunset? Gary Lehman can paint him, can he?
Sure can. Gordon Beckham is 0 for 2, and John Gray with 7 strikeouts starts him with a strike. That's over the protective screen foul, and quickly 0-2. it fair to say Gray hasn't been as sharp tonight?
I don't think he has, but he hasn't been really.
Toward left center. Blackman on the run. Got there. Good running catch.
He hasn't really been stressed. You know, the ball that was dropped after Rayburn crashed into the wall in the first, and then he made a great pitch on Markakis that turned into an infield hit and the run. Gordon put a good swing on this. That's 2 hard hit balls for him tonight and 2 deep flyouts. But like I said last night, you play center field and you can run in this ballpark. You can run forever and never run into anything.
Here's Freddie Freeman, the only man to score a run tonight. And that one hit the other way against the shift.
Yeah.
And Freeman's got 2 hits.
Rene Latchman helps set the defense, charts the shifts and all that. And I can't repeat to you what he probably just said, but he was not happy about that.
It's probably in French, though, so.
Swiss.
Here's Nick Markakis. He dribbled one right down the third base line. Nolan Arenado tried to barehand the ball. It was the only chance he had to get Nick. He fumbled it away. Freeman scored, and that's the only run. And ball 1 low.
Brent Snitker was bragging on Nick Markakis after the game last night and was amazed at that streak he had of 32 plate appearances without a swing and a miss. But he was talking about how Nick always seems to have an idea, like a plan when he's at the plate, and doesn't deviate from it. Talking about how he lets the ball travel, lets the ball get deep, meaning deep toward the catcher. And as a result, there are times where, like on foul balls like that, what was that, a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, that's going to happen to anybody. But you'll see a lot of foul balls off to the left side because he's trying to wait to see the ball out of the pitcher's hand before he makes his move.
And because he can foul them off, that means increases the likelihood of the pitcher making a mistake, and he can drive it someplace. Well, he's rolling. Nick has a 5-game hitting streak, 8 hits in his last 18 tries. Big hole right side if he can pull a pitch, and he'll face a 2-2 count. Didn't get that one. He swung at a ball in the dirt. So 2 are out in the 6th inning. That's the 8th strikeout for Gray. 12 is his career high.
His fastball's hard, his slider's hard, his breaking ball is slow. This is hard. It's hard slider, late breaking. Started at the middle of the plate and then wound up almost hitting Nick in the foot. That's a heck of a pitch.
Here's Garcia. Ordonez is 0 for 2. I read something about Gray today, and one of the analysts looking at Gray's arsenal, said he doesn't care about much velocity difference between the fastball and slider. He, as you said, throws both of those pitches very hard. But it creates a great deal of differentiation between his curveball, fastball, and slider. Like that.
And there's the curve. And the curve is somewhere in the 74 to 77 mile-an-hour range. That one happened to be 78.
One ball, one strike. And then from 77 to 95 miles an hour with a fastball. And he's ahead 1-2.
That is a real test for any hitter. They'll tell you, taking a little on, taking a little off, putting a little on, keep changing speeds like that. It's tough to adjust.
Jammed him. That's going to stay fair. Arenado running throw. Got his man at first. And that retires the Braves in the 6th inning. 2, 3, and 4 up again for the Rockies. Down a run. Baseball Live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and your tablet. Who would have thunk a 1-0 game at Coors Field? We were 0-0 through 5 last night. Braves got a first-inning run tonight. And now Joel De La Cruz, on for an injured Julio Teheran, will work his second full inning with the meat of the order for Colorado coming up.
Remember earlier this season, Julio had a problem with his toe.
Was it a blister problem?
I want to say it was. I don't think it was an ingrown toenail or anything like that. I think it was a blister. I'm glad you said that, because I couldn't remember what the problem was, but it was very uncomfortable for him. So that you wouldn't figure that to be the issue.
And as soon as we get official word, we'll pass it along. But what a disappointment for Julio and for the Braves, and scary, quite frankly.
I guess if there's a silver lining, it didn't appear to be anything arm related. We hope.
Two balls, no strikes for LeMahieu, who's 0 for 2. Cruz helped himself with a pickoff in the 5th inning. That was to erase Mark Reynolds, who reached on the infield hit that chased Teheran from the game. Huntley doubled, Gray grounded out, Blackman popped out, and here we go with a 3-1 count in the Colorado sixth. And a leadoff walk starts the Rockies' sixth. Arenado tripled off the mesh fence in right, and he's also flied to left. And if you think that Nolan Arenado is just benefiting from the thin air in Colorado, you are wrong. He's hit 12 home runs in his home ballpark. He's hit 11 home runs on the road this year. And De La Cruz missed badly outside. 1-0 the count. Arenado was a high school shortstop and a catcher. Not a great body when he was in high school, but someone with the Rockies thought he would physically mature and that he was athletic enough to play third base. He's always had a strong arm, and boy, can he hit. And that's downstairs. Ball 2.
Pretty good split on his home road homers.
Dangerous count.
Good pitch.
Got the call. 2 balls and a strike.
He was 4 for 11 in the series at Turner Field. He has a triple and 2 at-bats tonight.
That's cued foul past Eric Young, the Colorado first base coach. And now it's 2-2. Rockies were smarting when the Braves came to town. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Tampa Bay Rays, a team that was 5-25 in their previous 30 games. They struck out 27 times in the last 2 games of that series. They won last night. They're trailing 1-0 at home tonight. This is a critical stretch for the Rockies. Are they in this thing? Are they out of this thing as far as a playoff spot is concerned? They have been very inconsistent on their home field, and that's not the way they can be successful. They've got to be dominant at home.
Oh my.
Somehow he fought that off.
That was a hit or get hit type delivery. Like a slider. And backed up. Looks like he was lucky that on the foul coming off the bat, it didn't hit him in the face.
You might notice LeMahieu has about a 2-foot lead at first base. They've had 2 men picked off tonight. That's cost him a couple of runs. Into the seats, right side foul. Swing, fly ball, well hit toward left center. Jace on the run, still going, gone.
Watch how he gets his hands inside that pitch. That wasn't an altogether bad pitch, but this guy is so tough. He's such a tough out. Got the barrel to it. He's talking to the ball to get out. Got a little breeze behind it too.
And now John Gray has been given the lead on a 2-run homer by Nolan Arenado in the 6th.
Sponsored by your local Toyota dealers, Let's Go Places, and the Georgia Lottery.
A Nolan Arenado homer here in the 6th after a leadoff walk to DJ LeMahieu has given the Rockies a 2-1 lead. And now Dario Alvarez is on to pitch. This is his 15th game.
One of the things I talked about at the beginning of the game for Julio was big innings, avoid big innings. Well, it's only been a 2-run inning, but it's given the Rockies the lead. He's coming in with nobody on, nobody out. Try to limit this inning to just the 2 runs.
Gonzalez is 0 for 1 with a walk. Alvarez has 3 straight scoreless appearances. The Rockies touched him up for a couple of runs on July 15th, including a homer. But he has been a strike-throwing machine for the Braves. Struck out 9 consecutive hitters from July 2nd to July 7th, the Braves franchise record. No swing. How about that slider?
Nasty to lefties. It's a big sweeper.
I bet you Dario Alvarez is opening some scouts' eyes. All the contenders look for left-handed relief this time of year. The 2-2 pitch is looped into center, and that's going to drop for a hit.
I want to go back to Nolan Arenado's swing that he put on this pitch to hit it out. Watch his hands and watch where the barrel goes as his hands get inside the ball, head down. I mean, his head was almost right on the baseball as he put the barrel on it. 441 feet, the ball jumped off his bat.
That young man is starting a wonderful career. And he's put Colorado in front. Now Story's the batter with a man at first. He's walked and struck out. And that's way upstairs. 1 ball, no strikes.
I know there's a big debate about Chris Bryant, Nolan Arenado. You know, who do you want? Which one would you pick? Arenado's already got 3 gold gloves under his belt and doing what he's doing. And with all due respect to Chris Bryant, I'd love to have him on my team. But I'd take Arenado.
If you had to pick one, that's who you'd take?
Yeah. I'd take Chris Bryant, but I'd play him in left.
That's what I was going to say. That's the great value of Bryant. He can play more than one spot for you. They're your home run leaders now. Bryant, Rizzo, and Arenado. 1, 2, and 3 on that list.
Arenado's got some fire in him, too.
I've used the term before. He plays with an arrogance, and I don't mean that in a bad way at all. There's not a pitcher he doesn't think he can hit. There's not a play defensively he doesn't think he can't or should make. Or shouldn't make, I should say. Swing, fly ball, that's belted deep left. No doubter. How far's that one going?
Goodness. Well, he didn't want to let Arenado get too far ahead of him. Doesn't matter where that one was hit, folks.
So 2 2-run homers for the Rockies. They extend their lead, and there's still nobody out.
Turned into a big inning anyway.
Which is something you said has plagued Atlanta, and rightfully so. Raven 0 for 2. And John Gray, who's gotten very little run support in his last 3 starts, now leads by 3. The game changed, as Joe said, when Julio Teheran left with an injury. What a break for the Rockies, as Teheran had mesmerized him. Popped up, shallow right center. And Beckham backpedals, makes the play. There's the first out of the inning.
Take a look at where Gordon made that catch. Look how far out he had to go. And it's not because Nick or Ender didn't want the baseball. It's because they play, this ballpark plays so big and the outfielders are so deep that you got to depend on your infielders to range a little bit beyond where you normally would have to go catch a pop-up.
I counted 21 steps for Beckham to go get that pop-up. So the Rockies playing long ball in the 6th. Reynolds played long ball last night. He's 1 for 2 with an infield hit. It was his hit that chased Julio from the game with injury. into the upper deck. 1-2 count.
Braves bullpen had been on a pretty good roll, had been pitching good baseball, coming in, not allowing inherited runners to score, getting the first guy out. Has not been the case the last 8.
Penn's allowed 8 homers this month. That covers 54 innings of relief work. And a lot of walks, 22 of them, to go with 62 hits. It's almost a 1.5 whip from the relief corps. And Reynolds is down on strikes. Good pitch from Alvarez, takes care of him. 2 outs. And here's Hundley. Hundley doubled last time up. One ball, 1 strike for the Colorado catcher, Nick Hundley, who's played with San Diego and Baltimore, in addition to the Rockies.
Not related to the Todd Hundley, Randy Hundley family that you remember. In fact, Nick's dad was a college football coach and in the NAIA College Football Hall of Fame. Coached at Western Oregon.
Hundley hit .301 with the Rockies last year, played in 103 games. He's wearing a .253 average at the moment. A big inning for the Rockies that began with a leadoff walk. A pair of 2-run homers. And now Hundley launches one down the line, foul. It's 3-2. Hundley couldn't check his swing, and he knew it. Big inning for the Rockies. A walk and a homer, a single and a homer. Arenado and Story, that dynamic left side of the Rockies infield, strikes again. They turn around a 1-0 Atlanta game and make it 4-1 Rockies as we head to the 7th. 31st at Turner Field. This ticket package includes a Braves lunchbox and access to a pregame party with games and prizes. Go to braves.com/back-to-school-bash today.
Can't believe that's already talking about that.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, everybody hated going back to school, but the day you got to go pick out your lunchbox.
Yeah, it was a big day.
Get the notebook and the crayons and all that stuff.
For me, big erasers.
I'm with you there as Ender Inciarte goes to work. John Gray had a nice long rest in the 6th inning. He'll try to go through the 7th with a 3-run lead. Might recall he had a start here in Colorado against the Phillies where Walt Weiss decided to take him out of the game. They went to the bullpen. Bullpen gave up a big home run, and Gray got a no decision in that game. In Atlanta, you might recall, Gray said, I'm going to take over the 7th inning. There was no way he was going to let anyone else finish off an inning with Braves runners aboard in a 0-0 game.
Yeah, I think the term he used was, I wanted to own the inning.
Well, he did, and he's pitched very effectively tonight. Not as sharp as he was in Atlanta, but sharp enough to allow just 1 run and 5 hits. And the same rule applies to him. He's just been given a lead.
Sure.
Don't want to walk people. Braves need all the help they can get, though, with Recker to follow Inciarte here in the 7th.
Just walked off the mound and had a little talk with himself.
Rip to right. Cargo to his right. Gets there. 1 out. And here's Recker. He doubled back in the 2nd inning. Boone Logan, Jason Mott are the Colorado pitchers.
Logan was good last night. Mott was not. Logan's name is another one that's been thrown around a little bit if the Rockies decide to move some people.
Recker is swing and a miss.
I think the biggest decision is going to be for teams to decide, are we in or not? You mentioned that before, Chip, but some teams still riding the fence, trying to ride this right to the last couple of days for the month of July before they do anything.
Recker with a shot to left, a base hit with 1 out.
Another hit for him.
Well, for the fans, that's the great thing about the second wild card. You know, if you win that spot, you are guaranteed a 1-game shootout with a chance to advance.
Anthony Recker doing great work since he got called up after Tyler Flowers got hurt.
However, for the general managers, I'm sure it makes it even more difficult to take a realistic look at what's truly possible for your ball club. And I think the Rockies are 8 games back in the second wild card spot. Here's Ibar, runner at first, and he whacks the first one foul and out of play, a strike. Eric has walked and struck out tonight. Double play ball. Story's got it. LeMahieu glides across the bag, and a great stretch at first will end the Atlanta 7th. We stretch at Coors Field. Gray is through 7 with a 4-1 lead, courtesy of a couple of long Rockies homers. And share stories of people who are going above and beyond to inspire those around them for the Braves Community Heroes Week, August 16th through the 19th. Go to Braves.com/inspire and nominate that inspirational person. The rooftop is packed. Big crowd of over 35,000 again tonight on a drizzly Friday evening in Denver, Colorado. The Braves led 1-0 through 5 innings. The Rockies, though, cracked 2 homers in the 6th. And they have taken a 4-1 lead. Julio Teheran left after 4+ innings of 3-hit shutout ball with an apparent injury. Joel De La Cruz, Dario Alvarez, and now Ian Kroll have followed. And the Rockies pitcher spot is due up first here in the 9th inning. And it looks like Brandon Barnes will pinch hit for John Gray.
Yeah, Gray's night is over. Ian Kroll's in his 3rd game since the break. One against Colorado at home, one at Cincinnati that didn't go too well. 4 hits and a couple of runs. But he has pitched well since he came up in 30 appearances. Better than a strikeout per inning pitched. Fastball usually sits around 94.
And Barnes takes a strike. Very impressive line for Gray tonight. 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. He's in line for his 6th win, and he could go a perfect 4-0 at Coors Field.
Barnes, usually a defensive replacement, likely will stay in the game to play left field.
Low and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Texas got beat again tonight. The Royals knocked them off 3-1. Houston's winning in the 9th inning. There could be a 2.5 game spread in the American League West.
What a turnaround.
Texas has all kinds of pitching problems, but Prince Fielder has a neck problem, and Shin Soo Choo got hurt again. They are reeling. Charlie Blackmon will hit next. He's their first place hitter. Nobody on or out. 7th inning, game 2, Braves and Rockies. And Kroll rallies to get Barnes. And 3 straight Colorado hitters have been struck out. There's out number 1.
We just got word on Julio Teheran leaving tonight's game. It is right lat tightness, and he is listed as day-to-day. So we'll continue to keep you posted and hopefully get a little bit more information in Braves Live for our post-game show.
A tight right lat.
Which is kind of odd. Maybe it was something that was developing before that dribbler that Reynolds hit. But the lunging part would be for his left arm or his glove side, if that's when it occurred. So maybe it was tightening up on him before that.
Strike 1 for Charlie Blackmon. And that bounces in the dirt. Well, as you said, if there is good news, it's not apparently arm related for Julio.
There was another team. There is another team in the American League West beginning to make some noise. That's the Angels. They're trailing Houston 2-0 in the 9th. They've won 6 in a row and 8 out of 10. They're 11.5 out.
Never know.
Rangers.
Never know. Seattle won today. They beat Toronto 2-1. The Mariners, if those scores hold, I think they'll be 5.5 back.
Correct.
So again, at the All-Star break, I think 5 of the 6 division races were held by leaders that had 5 games or better advantages.
And the Yankees beat the Giants. That's 6 in a row for San Francisco on the loss side.
So things starting to tighten up as we approach the end of July. Ground ball right side. Beckham's there, and a throw to first in time. Blackman's retired. 2 up, 2 down for Ian Kroll, who looks to rebound from his effort last night. Wild card race in the National League. At the moment, Colorado is 7.5 games behind Miami. The trouble for the Rockies is all those teams they have to try to leapfrog over, and they got to get to 500 first, and that's going to take some doing. And keep an eye on the Pirates. Even though they were beaten tonight, Pittsburgh has a very favorable schedule with lots of games against the Reds and Brewers in the second half. LeMahieu walked to start the 6th and came home on Arenado's long homer. Mets beat Miami 5-3. Terry Collins said his club needed to win 2 out of 3 at the very least in that series. Mets and Marlins neck and neck in the East. New York also gained a game on the Nationals. The Padres beat them 5-3 in Nationals Park. And there's talk that the Padres might be close to a deal with the Baltimore Orioles. Melvin Upton Jr. might be close to joining Baltimore in a deal that would involve Ubaldo Jimenez.
Wow, that was about a 50-footer. I think the Orioles would be happy to unload that contract. There's also talk about Melvin Upton Jr. and the Giants.
3-0 the count. And LeMahieu took it. To the right side, and that is textbook DJ LeMahieu, isn't it?
Yeah.
And with one swing of the bat, the Colorado Rockies turned around the game, courtesy of Nolan Arenado.
Got the barrel to that one, kept his head down, turned a 1-0 deficit into a 2-1 lead. They later got a 2-run homer from Story that made it 4-1, which is where we are right now.
So Arenado, 73 RBIs, 9 two-strike homers this year. And downstairs, 1 ball, no strikes.
We had a graphic last night showing LeMahieu and Carlos Gonzalez with all those opposite field hits. There might come a time where you just try to take that away from him.
Arenado pokes one toward right, and Nick Markakis makes the play.
Not necessarily a 3-man shift, but just put 2 guys over there in the hole. Plug that hole up where he wears them out.
We're off to the 8th. VIP access throughout the ballpark with the Braves VIP meet and greet experience Saturday, July 30th. For more information, go to braves.com/VIP and secure your spot today. Well, just getting a chance to say hi to Dale Murphy's worth the price of that.
Heck yeah.
And we look forward to a big weekend of baseball when we get home to face the Phillies. Brandon Barnes stays in the game. He's in left. And Jason Mott is back on the mound after a rough outing last night.
I'm really surprised to see in a 3-run game Walt Weiss go to him again. He was horrible last night. 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits and a walk, 2 runs scored. And that was with a 7-1 lead coming in the 9th. He threw 32 pitches last night. So we'll see if he's in there for the duration of this inning or just for 1 or 2 hitters.
Chase Darno is the first who will greet him. Darno bats for Ian Kroll, who worked an inning of 1-hit relief. Chase has done a nice job for the Braves. Won the game against the Rockies back in Atlanta with a run-scoring hit. He's got 4 hits in his last 9 tries. This is his first action in this series. Ball 2. Chase has proven to be a jack of all trades. He's played second, third, short, left, right, and center. And he pops this one up into shallow left center field, and that's going to get down. And Darno never stopped running. He'll make it to second base, and that's a Coors Field hit. A bloop double.
Well, and Barnes just put in there for defense, overran that one. I don't know if it had a little bite on it like a golf ball, but he overran it. And it'll be a hit and an error. As an outfielder, if you realize you're not going to catch it, you gotta break down a little bit. You gotta slow down and get yourself under control.
So the right guys at the right time for Atlanta. No lead safe. It's only a 3-run advantage for the Rockies. A 4-1 game for Chase Peterson. And a swing and a miss. Pitchers getting slumps too. The only way they can get out of them is to keep pitching. And they need Mott and McGee late in the ball game. Both these men were brought in to help shorten the ball games for the Rockies starters, and it hasn't worked out very well for them. Mott started the year on the disabled list with a bum shoulder. McGee came from Tampa Bay for Corey Dickerson and a minor league infielder. He's battled knee problems and Coors Field problems. Nothing in 2 for Jace. He protected that inside corner, and he'll see another pitch. Pinch hit single for Darno, took second on the left fielder's error. And now Peterson has the Rockies thinking, uh-oh, here we go again. Good cut.
And a good battle put up by Jace. Braves need base runners getting to the middle of their lineup.
Beckham is next. Mont's allowed 6 earned runs in his 7 innings of July work. That sky down the left field line, and great try by Barnes. He slammed into the wall and couldn't come up with it.
That ball went a long way, a lot farther than it looked like off the bat.
Swing and a drive. That one's belted and goodbye. Long home run into the second deck by Jace Peterson, and the Braves are down a run.
Great at bat, and boy, was that a great swing. That ball jumped off his bat, something middle in. 5th homer of the year. Like I said, I couldn't believe that Mott was brought in a 3-run game. It's now a 1-run game. Swung on and belted.
You bet. So Mott has allowed 8 runs in 7 innings this month. Coors Field has been a mystery for him, and the Braves are right back in this game in the 8th.
Here, Georgia Power. And Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Jace Peterson with a 437-foot home run has brought the Braves to within 1 run late in Denver. And the road has been kind for Atlanta lately with the long ball.
I'll say 21 in their last 16 games compared to a hard time in the first 31.
So Boone Logan is on to pitch. Gordon Beckham is the batter. Freeman and Markakis to follow. 2 in, nobody out. And a strike for the Braves second baseman.
'40th game for Logan, also with more strikeouts than innings pitched. He worked here last night. an inning. Zeros across with a strikeout.
No swing. 2-1 the count. To third, Arenado waited for the right hop and threw a strike. There's the first out. And now the Rockies will look at 2 straight left-hand hitters for Atlanta, Freddie Freeman and Nick Markakis. 2 hits for Freddie tonight, a triple off Rayburn's glove in left, a base hit to an empty left side of the Rockies infield in the 6th. John Gray struck him out swinging in the 3rd.
Freddie struck out against Logan last night, 1 for 6 in his career against him.
And he's been real tough against lefties, as you'd expect. Left-handers have 10 hits all year against Logan and 63 at bats. That's a 197 average. Chris Withrow's been warming a while. Appears he'll pitch the 8th. Fly ball well hit center. Blackman retreats. Turned the wrong way but recovered to make the play. 2 out. Freddie hit it hard but to the deepest part of the ballpark.
Yeah, he got a good piece of that. And for a second it looked like Blackman had misplayed it.
Let's see if Markakis can keep the inning alive. Adonis Garcia would follow. There is nobody up in the Colorado pen. This is Logan's inning. And he throws a quick strike. Braves led 1-0 through 5 1/2. Rockies got 2 2-run homers in the 6th. Chase Peterson's hit a 2-run homer for the Braves in the 8th. So we're at 4-3 Colorado.
He does a great job of hiding that delivery on the breaking ball. It's very deceptive. Left-handed hitters real late picking it up. He almost has to hang it and leave it out over the plate to give you a good swing at it.
Right back where it came from. It ricochets off Logan. LeMahieu with the play. Throws on to first in time. A 1-4-3 putout. A painful end to the 8th inning for Boone Logan. Jace Peterson launches a 2-run homer off Jason Mott. And the Braves draw 2 runs closer. It's 4-3 late. Out to Turner Field Saturday, July 30th. Get a 1991 worst to first NLCS replica ring. Don't miss out on this collector's item. Go to Braves.com/promotions and secure your tickets today. Colorado up in the 8th. They lead 4-3. Changes afoot for Atlanta. Chase Darno will remain in the game and play left. Jace Peterson moves from left to second. And Chris Withrow will become the 4th Braves reliever tonight.
Chris has got a good run going. 15 of his last 16 outings have been scoreless. 21 of his last 23. His ERA continues to go down. His job, hold him right there.
Gonzalez, Story, and the pitcher's spot coming up for Colorado. Gonzalez singled ahead of Story's 2-run homer in the 6th. Three and one. Ground ball to second. Jace Peterson's got it, and a nice comeback for Withrow from a 3-0 count.
That's a good fastball too.
So here's the shortstop, rookie Trevor Story. He was in launch mode last time up. And it's our Toyota key play of the game.
And that is the difference in the ball game right now. Second two-run homer of the game and of the inning. After Arenado had hit one earlier in the 6th.
When you talk about players breaking into the big leagues with a bang, I think it's safe to say Trevor Story authored that story. The first player since 1900 whose first 4 hits in the major leagues were homers. He hit 4 home runs in his first 3 games. Also the first player in modern history to do that.
That was pretty cool. That was out in Arizona, I think.
As you see, he's 1 behind Chris Bryant for the National League lead.
Cub Rocky, Cub Rocky.
Daniel Descalso will hit for Boone Logan. But first things first, Trevor Story, who has struck out, walked, and gone deep. Story's out of Irving, Texas. 45th player taken in 2011.
So one of those sandwich picks.
And we've talked so many times about the inexact nature of scouting. Here's a young man that's at 24 homers. He's knocked in 62 runs in his first big league season, and Baseball America said he's the 8th best Rockies prospect.
Well, they went heavy on pitching this year. They had the 4th pick in the draft right behind the Braves, and they took Riley Pint out of Overland Park, Kansas. Highly touted high school pitcher, and then they went with 2 college pitchers, one out of University of Georgia and one out of Vanderbilt. So they were thinking pitching from the get-go. And why not? They're pretty loaded with position players right now.
3-2 pitch for Trevor Story, and that's tipped and caught. He's down on strikes. 2 away. Braves Live, presented by Xfinity, will follow us from Denver tonight. Braves are hoping to come back in the 9th inning. They trail by a 4-3 score. John Gray started for the Rockies, 7 innings of 6 hit, 1 run ball. And that's an important note for the Rockies. Last year they had 54 quality starts all season. With Gray's effort tonight, they now have 48 quality starts this year. So yes, their starting pitching is drastically improved. And here's Descalso with nobody aboard. Swing and a miss.
But throw is sharp tonight. He's got a good fastball, 94, 95. As you said, a nice comeback on Gonzalez. Carlos Estevez, wild thing. Ready to come in and finish it up, as he had to do last night.
Knee-high strike. It's 2-2. We join you a half hour earlier tomorrow night. Matt Whistler gets the ball for the Braves. We'll get our first look at lefty Tyler Anderson. Another young pitcher the Rockies are very excited about. And he's figured things out pretty quickly at Coors. He's gone into the 6th inning in each of his 5 home starts.
Pretty high on him.
Full count.
More of a finesse guy, I think, by comparison to John Gray, but then who isn't?
And Descalso strikes out. A very impressive inning for Chris Withrow. 3 up, 3 down, a pair of punch outs. Atlanta has last call, down only a run in Denver.
Sports and outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
We head to the 9th inning. Rockies 4, Atlanta 3. That's one of the stories in Coors Field tonight. The big story for the Braves is Julio Teheran left in the 5th inning with a flat injury after trying to field a ground ball off the bat of Mark Reynolds.
We didn't see any sign of any injury when he was attempting to make that play, but Eric Ibar was signaling to the trainers, Jeff Porter specifically, to come out and talk to him, and he threw one warm-up pitch to see if he was okay. He said, "I'm not," and headed to the training room for treatment.
Right lat tightness is the official word we have received this evening. And now Carlos Estevez is on to try to close it out. Garcia, Inciarte, and Recker, the first 3 for the Braves. Only a 1-run difference.
He got a 1-out save last night after Mott had pitched poorly in the 9th inning. Tying run was in the on-deck circle, so it was a save, his 7th. Throws hard. 96 to 100.
Well, since June 26th, he's 3 for 3 in saves. That's the good news for the Rockies. The bad news is he's been scored upon 3 times as well. He doesn't have the luxury of a big lead tonight. 1 run ties it up.
.6'4", 210. Looks bigger than that. Standing out there.
Swing and a drive center. Blackmon on a sprint. Not going to get it. That's going to bounce off the fence. Adonis on his way to second, and he's there safely, and the Braves are in business in the 9th inning. A leadoff double to center field.
Again, did Blackmon see that ball very well off the bat? Because at first I thought he was tracking it to catch it and then turned around to play it off the wall. Low drive by Garcia, and the ball jumped. Shading him in right center. Oh, he just didn't get there, that's all. Hit too hard. Wasn't a misread at all.
So Walt Weiss has to pace and ponder on the dugout steps in the Colorado dugout as Ender Inciarte hits. He's 1 for 3 and chops it foul. We told you about the troubles of Mott and McGee. Got a rookie closer. Rockies have lost 3 games when leading after 8.
Be patient here if you're Ender. It's something that you might be able to pull to the right side, but at the same time might be able to pull one past Reynolds, who's even with the bag at first base.
Two and two.
Anthony Reckers had a good night. He's on deck. Good stop by Hundley.
Full count. And he just walked in Ciarte. 2 on, nobody out. And now Arenado is going to come in from third base with a few words of encouragement. And this game is starting to spiral out of control for Colorado. Remember, they had a 4-1 lead, and we questioned at the time. Mott, who's been struggling so badly, came in, gave up a hit and a homer to make it a 1-run game.
Makes you wonder if they didn't have anybody else to go to tonight for some reason, if guys were sore or whatever. But as poorly as Mott pitched, you figure the next time he was going to get a chance was in a runaway game to try to get back on track.
So Estevez stepped off the mound, faked a pickoff play at second. Recker was showing bunt. He's 2 for 3 tonight.
Last 4 games, the Rockies pinned 14 1/3 innings, 9 earned runs.
And Adonis is making Estevez nervous out at second base. The Rockies have 8 blown saves at home. They have 12 overall. Downstairs, and Hundley out for a visit.
He is a rookie. Things have been going his way. All of a sudden tonight they're not, and he needs be propped up a little bit. 23 years old, but he's never pitched in the big leagues before this year.
Recker got it down, and it's a beauty. Estevez loads up. Long throw, and he got him by a step.
Wow. You know, Anthony Recker's not been asked to bunt too much in his career, but asked to here, and he did a great job. And what another good night he's had. 2 hits and now a big sacrifice bunt in the ninth. Well done, sir.
So it's all set up for Atlanta. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. And Eric Ibar up. Infield's going to come in for Colorado. A fly ball could tie it for the Braves. The Rockies have good arms in the outfield too. Ground ball foul past first. That would have been beautiful. Strike 1.
Eric likes that first pitch in these situations. Always aggressive.
Just broke his bat. Hey, good play by Eddie Perez.
To an old teammate, Vinny Castilla.
Who made a chest high throw to a fan in the front row.
You know he did. Vinny is an assistant to the general manager and is always in uniform before the games, working with infielders. No, he didn't.
The umpires don't even bother to appeal. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Get something up above your knees a little bit. See if you can drive it to the outfield.
He's hanging tough. Carlos Estevez is learning on the job. 1-2 pitch. And he almost threw that one away.
As hard as this guy throws, Adonis has to be aware of that at third base. I'm sure he's been reminded by Bo Porter. He could throw under the backstop at any moment. Get that good walking lead toward home.
Three and 2.
And with the infield in, Inciarte can get a huge lead at second base. There is a base hit. He's got an excellent chance to score.
Ball 4. Estevez just walked Ibar, his 2nd walk of the inning, and the bases are loaded for Chase Darno.
Steve Foster, the pitching coach, out to try to calm down their kid, who got ahead 0-2 right away on Ibar and then didn't come close to a strike.
Well, the Braves have the right guy at the right time. Chase Darno this year is 7 for 15 with a runner at third this year.
So you feel very good about his chances of at least tying this game.
And not only that, the guy on deck has always been nails when it comes to hitting with bases loaded.
That guy on deck is Jace Peterson, who's already homered tonight. And no place to put d'Arnaud. The first one looked to be a strike, but he's been so wild he's not going to get that call.
It was Chase that got the walk-off hit to drive in the winning run in Atlanta to salvage one game in the series against the Rockies. That was last Sunday.
Good take. 2 balls and a strike.
Really good patience. It's hard not to be overly aggressive in this situation with that tying run just 90 feet away. Go ahead, run in scoring position. You want to do something good for your team, and it's hard to wait for that good pitch to hit.
Popped up. That is in the seats.
I remember him telling Kelsey after that game-winning hit last Sunday that he was just trying to remain calm. He got a good fastball, I mean a hard fastball that he was able to turn on.
Now the 2-2 pitch. In the dirt. It's gone full.
He's not throwing the slider for a strike. He's having a hard time throwing the fastball for a strike. So I'm not sure Nick Hundley knows what sign to put down. Giving him a sign, a target right behind the point of the plate.
Popped up. That's an infield fly. That's the second out. And now Walt Weiss has Jake McGee loosening in his bullpen. But also the Rockies trainer is going to come out and check with Estevez. He'll make a couple of practice pitches.
Well, if nothing else, it's a good way to get a couple of warm-up pitches for your pitcher to get back on track.
And apparently Keith Duggar is satisfied with the answer. He'll stay in the game. And it's Jace Peterson who came through with a big homer last time up.
Jumped on a cutter from Mott, hit it into the second deck. Guesstimate of 437.
So here we go. 35,000 plus standing. Braves have him loaded with 2 outs, down a run. And a strike.
And that was at best borderline.
No swing.
I mean, that pitch too, Hundley is just holding his glove as close to the center of the plate as he can on that fastball, just like he's not even moving to one side or the other because Estevez is having such trouble locating.
Fouled away. It's a ball and 2 strikes.
Estevez has gotten a second win. That was 99.
A double and 2 walks load the bases. The Braves are down to their last strike, down a run. Did he go? He went around, and the Rockies survive in the 9th inning on a check swing strikeout to win the game by a final score of 4-3.